Viking sagas speak of warriors who would sail across treacherous seas, not for treasure, but to win the heart of a beloved. But what were their courtship rituals really like? What happened behind the closed doors of Norse longhouses? Recent archaeological findings finally answer these intimate questions that have remained hidden for over 1,000 years. In 2019, archaeologists excavating a burial site near Trondheim, Norway, uncovered what they initially thought was a standard warrior grave. But hidden beneath layers of earth and time, they discovered intimate artifacts that would revolutionize our understanding of Viking relationships. Carved bone combs, delicate silver jewelry, and wooden tokens bearing love runes told a story far different from the brutal raiders of popular imagination. To understand Viking intimacy, we must first journey to Asgard, where the gods themselves set examples of love and desire. Frigg, the beloved wife of Odin, governed marriage and motherhood with wisdom and grace. Freyja ruled over love, fertility, and passionate desire, teaching mortals that love was both sacred and natural. These divine relationships shaped how Vikings viewed their own romantic lives, creating a culture where love was celebrated rather than hidden. Unlike women in most medieval societies, Viking women held remarkable power in matters of love and marriage. They could refuse suitors outright, initiate divorce proceedings, and even own property independently of their fathers or husbands. The sagas tell of shield maidens who chose their husbands based on martial prowess, while others selected partners for their skills in poetry, craftsmanship, or their ability to make them laugh during long winter nights. Young Viking men didn't simply choose a bride and expect acceptance. They had to prove their worthiness through elaborate courtship rituals that could last for months. Archaeological evidence from burial sites across Scandinavia reveals that suitors would present ornate brooches crafted from precious metals, intricate combs carved from elk antler, and precious amber jewelry that took skilled artisans weeks to create. These gifts demonstrated not just wealth, but the suitor's commitment to providing for and protecting a family. Viking men expressed their deepest feelings through skaldic poetry, complex verses that required both intelligence and creativity to compose. These weren't simple love songs, but intricate wordplay that demonstrated a man's wit and cultural sophistication. Archaeological discoveries include rune stones with love poems and wooden tablets containing romantic messages between couples separated by trading expeditions or seasonal work. One such poem, carved into a whalebone comb, reads, "Your eyes shine brighter than polished silver, your voice sweeter than the songs of Valhalla's maidens." Viking weddings were elaborate sacred ceremonies that could last for days, involving entire communities in celebration. The bride wore a crown made from family heirlooms passed down through generations, while the groom presented his ancestral sword as a symbol of protection. Archaeological discoveries show that couples would exchange rings during rituals involving sacred wells and ancient oak trees, believing these natural elements connected them to the fertility of the earth itself and the blessings of the gods. Norse women practiced Sidra magic, ancient rituals specifically designed to influence matters of the heart and strengthen romantic bonds. Archaeological finds include small carved figures representing lovers, love charms made from bone and rare woods, and special herbs preserved in leather pouches for centuries. These intimate artifacts reveal a sophisticated understanding of attraction, desire, and the mystical forces that bind hearts together. Women would perform these rituals during specific moon phases, believing cosmic timing enhanced their power. Inside the Viking longhouse, intimacy was both private and communal, creating a delicate balance between family life and personal relationships. Married couples had designated sleeping areas carefully marked by hanging tapestries woven with protective symbols. Archaeological evidence shows that these private quarters contained personal items, including mirrors made from polished metal, intimate grooming tools, and small wooden chests for storing love tokens and private correspondence. Contrary to popular belief, most Vikings practiced strict monogamy, viewing marriage as a sacred bond between two souls. However, wealthy jarls could afford multiple wives, particularly when political alliances demanded such arrangements. These relationships were carefully negotiated contracts that protected the rights, property, and dignity of all parties involved, demonstrating the sophisticated nature of Norse marriage law and the respect accorded to women regardless of their position in the household hierarchy. Viking pregnancy was surrounded by protective rituals and fertility symbols that involved the entire community. Expectant mothers wore Thor's hammer amulets for divine protection, while their families prepared special birth chambers lined with soft furs and filled with sacred herbs like juniper and birch bark. Archaeological finds include wooden cradles carved with protective runes, tiny jewelry meant for newborns, and special birthing chairs designed to ease labor while honoring the goddess Frigg. Viking children learned about healthy relationships through observing their parents' partnerships and participating in family activities. Boys and girls played together freely until adolescence, when they began learning gender-specific roles. However, these roles were more flexible than in other medieval cultures, with women participating in trade negotiations and men taking active roles in childcare and household management. Children were taught that successful marriages required mutual respect, shared responsibilities, and genuine affection. The Vikings celebrated elaborate seasonal fertility festivals that strengthened marriages and reinforced community bonds. During spring celebrations, couples would renew their marriage vows beneath flowering trees, while the entire village witnessed their continued commitment. Autumn festivals involved sharing special foods believed to enhance fertility and marital harmony, honey cakes, fermented mare's milk, and roasted nuts that symbolized abundance and prosperity for the coming year. Viking women enjoyed divorce rights that were virtually unheard of in medieval Europe, allowing them to leave unfaithful, abusive, or simply incompatible husbands while retaining their property and children. Archaeological evidence shows that divorced women often remarried successfully, maintaining their social status and independence within the community. Some women chose to remain unmarried after divorce, operating their own farms or businesses with full community support and legal protection. Viking marriages were expected to flourish and deepen through old age, with elderly couples maintaining profound bonds forged through shared adventures, hardships, and triumphs. Burial sites reveal elderly couples interred together with personal items that tell stories of lifelong partnerships, matching brooches, shared drinking horns, and intertwined hands positioned to show their eternal connection. These archaeological discoveries demonstrate that Viking love was built to last not just until death, but beyond it into the afterlife. Married Vikings wore distinctive symbols of their union that went far beyond simple jewelry. These included specially forged rings, intricate armbands that told their family stories, and unique brooches that indicated their marital status and social position. These weren't just decorative items, but powerful symbols that commanded respect and protection within Viking society. A married woman's brooch design, for example, would immediately inform strangers of her status and rights, ensuring she received appropriate treatment wherever she traveled. Viking trade expeditions frequently led to marriages between different cultures, creating rich multicultural families that became bridges between communities. Norse men would marry Irish, Anglo-Saxon, Slavic or Frankish women, while Viking women sometimes married foreign merchants or warriors. These unions created fascinating multicultural households where children grew up speaking multiple languages and practicing blended traditions that enriched Viking society with new customs, perspectives, and approaches to love and family life. Viking women possessed sophisticated knowledge of contraception and family planning that allowed them to space pregnancies and maintain their health. They used herbs like wild carrot seeds, copper amulets, and special dietary practices that had been passed down through generations of wise women. This knowledge allowed Viking women to maintain greater autonomy over their bodies and family planning than women in most other medieval cultures, contributing to their overall empowerment within Norse society. Viking marriages functioned as sophisticated economic partnerships, where both spouses contributed specialized skills and knowledge to household prosperity. Women managed dairy production, textile creation, food preservation, and often the household's trade relationships. Men handled farming, metalworking, boat building, and long-distance trading. This complementary division of labor created household economies that were remarkably efficient and productive. with both partners respected for their essential contributions to family success. Viking brides brought substantial dowries that included land, livestock, household goods, precious jewelry, and sometimes even weapons or ships. These weren't simple gifts, but carefully calculated investments that ensured women's economic security throughout their marriages. The dowry system also demonstrated families' confidence in the marriage alliance and provided women with independent resources they could use to support their households or, if necessary, establish themselves independently should the marriage fail. Viking wives expressed their creativity, status, and family history through elaborate textile arts. They created intricate tapestries that decorated long houses and preserved family stories for future generations. These textiles served as both artistic expression and historical records, with patterns and colors that told tales of family origins, heroic deeds, and romantic legends. The most skilled textile artists gained recognition throughout their communities and could influence fashion and artistic trends across wide regions. Music and dance played crucial roles in Viking courtship, marriage celebrations, and ongoing relationship maintenance. Archaeological finds include bone flutes, wooden lyres, bronze bells, and specialized drums that accompanied romantic serenades and wedding festivities. These celebrations could last for weeks, involving entire communities in elaborate performances that strengthened social bonds and provided couples with joyful memories to sustain them through difficult times. Viking couples performed elaborate protective rituals designed to safeguard their relationships from harmful magic, jealous rivals, and the natural challenges of life. These included exchanging specially blessed rings during full moon ceremonies, sharing ritual meals prepared with sacred ingredients, and placing protective rune stones around their homes to ensure marital harmony, fidelity, and mutual understanding throughout their lives together. Viking relationships flowed naturally with the seasonal cycles of northern life. Spring represented new beginnings, fertility, and the renewal of love after long winter separations. Summer brought community celebrations and opportunities for couples to work together on major projects. Autumn offered harvest festivals that strengthened family bonds through shared abundance. Winter provided intimate time for storytelling, crafting, and deepening emotional connections during the long, dark months. Vikings faced infant mortality and the loss of loved ones with collective grieving rituals that strengthened marriages through shared sorrow and community support. Archaeological evidence shows tiny graves filled with precious offerings, demonstrating how couples honored lost children while finding comfort in their community's embrace. These rituals helped couples process grief together, rather than allowing loss to divide them, creating deeper bonds through shared experience of life's most difficult challenges. A Viking woman's marriage significantly elevated her social status and gave her an influential voice in community decisions. Married women could attend thing assemblies where important decisions were made, participate in legal disputes as witnesses or advocates, and influence political decisions through their husbands and extensive family connections. This social elevation made marriage attractive to women, while ensuring that communities benefited from the wisdom and perspectives of all their adult members. Elderly Viking women became highly respected advisors on matters of love, marriage, and family relationships. These wise matriarchs arranged marriages between families, mediated disputes between couples, and preserved the oral traditions that guided romantic relationships throughout Norse society. Their counsel was sought by both young people seeking partners and established couples facing challenges, creating a system of relationship guidance that strengthened the entire community. Viking marriages had to endure long separations when men traveled for months or even years on trading expeditions, raids, or exploration voyages. Women maintained entire households, raised children, and managed complex businesses while their husbands were away. Couples stayed emotionally connected through carefully carved message tokens, ritual practices that maintained their spiritual bond across vast distances, and the unshakable trust that sustained their relationships despite physical separation. Vikings embraced marriages with people from vastly different cultures, creating rich multicultural families that served as bridges between communities. Irish Norse, Anglo-Norse, Slavic Norse, and Frankish Norse unions brought new customs, languages, religious practices, and perspectives that continuously enriched Viking society. These marriages expanded Norse understanding of love, partnership, and family life, while creating lasting connections between previously separate peoples. Viking wives protected their homes and marriages through sophisticated domestic magic, involving the hanging of protective herbs, carving of protective symbols into door frames and support beams, and maintenance of household shrines dedicated to ensuring their family's well-being and marital harmony. These practices created sacred domestic spaces where love could flourish under divine protection and ancestral blessing. Viking parents carefully taught their children about healthy relationships through personal example, storytelling, and gradual involvement in adult responsibilities. Children learned the importance of respect, partnership, mutual support, and the careful selection of compatible mates who would strengthen both families and contribute positively to community well-being. This education began in early childhood and continued throughout adolescence, ensuring young Vikings entered adulthood with realistic expectations and practical relationship skills. Viking spouses demonstrated their commitment through devoted care during illness, injury, and the natural challenges of aging. They used healing herbs, protective rituals, and unwavering emotional support to help each other through health difficulties. Archaeological evidence shows couples buried together who clearly supported each other through significant health challenges, disabilities, and the gradual process of growing old together with dignity and mutual respect. Viking society placed significant pressure on couples to maintain successful marriages because strong partnerships were viewed as essential foundations of community stability and prosperity. Unsuccessful unions were seen as threats to social order and clan strength, while harmonious marriages were celebrated as examples for younger generations. This social framework provided both support for struggling couples and clear expectations about the importance of working through difficulties rather than abandoning commitments. Viking couples shared spiritual practices that strengthened their emotional and mystical bonds. They made regular offerings to household gods, participated enthusiastically in seasonal festivals, and maintained sacred spaces within their homes where they honored both ancestors and marriage deities. These shared religious experiences created deeper connections between spouses while linking their personal relationship to the cosmic order and divine blessings. Viking marriages focused intensively on creating lasting legacies through children, property accumulation, family reputation building, and the preservation of family stories and traditions. Couples worked together systematically to build wealth, establish unshakable family honor, and ensure their descendants would remember and celebrate their love story through many generations. This long-term perspective gave Viking relationships purpose and meaning beyond immediate personal satisfaction. Viking women retained comprehensive property rights throughout their marriages, owning land, livestock, businesses, and personal treasures independently of their husbands. This economic independence significantly strengthened marriages by ensuring both partners contributed equally to household prosperity and major decision-making processes. Women could invest, trade, and build wealth on their own terms, while contributing to overall family success through their independent economic activities. Viking communities provided sophisticated marriage guidance through experienced couples and respected clan elders who had successfully navigated decades of partnership. These wise advisors helped resolve conflicts, mediated serious disputes, and offered practical wisdom based on generations of successful partnerships within the community. This support system helped couples work through difficulties while maintaining community harmony and stability. Wealthy Viking couples displayed their prosperity and successful partnership through elaborate household furnishings, imported textiles, precious jewelry, and generous hospitality that demonstrated their elevated status within Norse society. These displays weren't mere vanity, but important social signals that reinforced their position, attracted valuable political alliances, and created opportunities for their children to make advantageous marriages. Viking wives faced the constant possibility of losing husbands to warfare, dangerous voyages, or accidents, and they developed strong support networks and sophisticated grieving rituals to help them cope with loss while honoring their partnerships. These women supported each other through widowhood, shared resources during difficult times, and helped each other navigate the challenges of single parenthood in a society that valued family units. Viking society actively encouraged remarriage for both widows and widowers, viewing new partnerships as necessary for community stability, personal happiness, and practical household management. These second marriages often brought together families with children from previous relationships, creating complex blended households that strengthened clan alliances while providing emotional healing and renewed hope for those who had experienced loss. Viking couples without biological children frequently adopted orphans, young relatives, or children from struggling families, maintaining family lines and ensuring proper care in their old age. These arrangements were formalized through elaborate community ceremonies that recognized the new family bonds as equally valid and important as biological relationships, creating strong emotional connections and legal obligations. Some adventurous Viking wives accompanied their husbands on extended trading expeditions, participating directly in negotiations, cultural exchanges, and business relationships that enriched their marriages through shared adventures and dramatically expanded horizons. These traveling couples became skilled diplomats who could navigate different cultures while maintaining their Norse identity and values. Viking couples frequently collaborated on artistic projects that reflected their shared aesthetic sense and created beautiful home environments that expressed their partnership. They carved household items with matching designs, created coordinated textile patterns, and crafted jewelry that told the story of their relationship through symbolic imagery that had personal meaning for them and their families. Religious festivals provided opportunities for Viking couples to strengthen their marriages through shared spiritual experiences and community participation. Couples participated together in seasonal celebrations, made joint offerings to gods of love and fertility, and renewed their commitment to each other while celebrating with their community the cycles of nature and the blessings of the gods. Viking couples planned their deaths together with the same care they brought to planning their lives, preparing joint burial arrangements and ensuring their love story would be remembered through carefully selected grave goods and memorial stones that celebrated their partnership for eternity. These preparations reflected their belief that true love transcended death and continued in the afterlife. As Christianity gradually spread through Scandinavia, Viking marriage customs evolved and adapted, blending traditional Norse practices with new religious requirements while maintaining the essential values of partnership, mutual respect, and genuine affection that had always characterized the best Viking relationships. This cultural transformation preserved the most valuable aspects of Norse marriage culture while adapting to changing times. Contemporary archaeological discoveries continue revealing intimate details of Viking relationships through personal letters carved in runes, matching burial goods that tell stories of shared lives, and household arrangements that demonstrate the depth and complexity of Norse romantic life. Each new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of how these remarkable people lived, loved, and built families in one of history's most challenging environments. Viking sagas romanticized and idealized many aspects of Norse relationships, but archaeological evidence reveals that real Viking partnerships were built on more practical foundations of mutual respect, economic cooperation, and genuine affection. The reality was often more complex and interesting than the legends, showing Vikings as fully human people dealing with the same relationship challenges and joys that people face today. Viking relationship values, including gender equality, economic partnership, personal choice in marriage, and women's rights, profoundly influenced medieval European society and continue to shape modern Scandinavian approaches to love, marriage, and family life. These ancient values anticipated many contemporary relationship ideals by nearly 1,000 years, demonstrating the progressive nature of Viking society. As Vikings established settlements across Europe, their innovative marriage customs spread and adapted to local traditions, creating fascinating hybrid practices that enriched both Norse culture and the societies they joined. From the stone churches of Ireland to the trading posts of Russia, Viking relationship values left lasting impacts on the development of European family structures and marriage customs. Viking marriages created extensive economic networks that facilitated trade and cultural exchange across medieval Europe. Family connections established through marriage provided reliable trading partnerships, safe harbors for traveling merchants, and cultural bridges that enriched medieval commerce while creating lasting bonds between distant communities that might otherwise have remained suspicious strangers. Some Viking women achieved remarkable leadership positions through strategic marriages, personal capability, and community recognition, ruling territories, commanding widespread respect, and influencing political decisions across the Norse world. These female leaders demonstrated that Viking society valued competence and wisdom over gender restrictions, creating opportunities for exceptional women to achieve remarkable success. Viking communities implemented sophisticated child protection practices that went far beyond individual family responsibility. These included comprehensive legal guardianship arrangements for orphaned children, detailed property inheritance planning that protected children's rights, and extensive community oversight systems that ensured children's well-being regardless of family circumstances. The entire community shared responsibility for raising healthy, capable adults who would strengthen Norse society. Viking couples shared extensive knowledge of healing herbs, protective rituals, and health practices that maintained family well-being through the harsh northern climate and challenging living conditions. This medical wisdom was carefully passed down through female family lines, creating networks of healers who could treat everything from difficult births to seasonal illnesses, while strengthening marital bonds through shared commitment to family health. Viking hospitality customs required married couples to welcome travelers and provide protection, creating extensive networks of mutual obligation that strengthened marriages through shared responsibility and community connection. These practices meant that Viking couples regularly hosted strangers, shared their resources with those in need, and participated in a complex social system that provided security and support throughout the Norse world. Viking couples developed remarkable strategies for adapting their relationships to the harsh northern climate and seasonal extremes. They created intimate winter customs that strengthened emotional bonds during months of darkness, spring renewal rituals that celebrated surviving another brutal winter, and seasonal work patterns that required close cooperation and mutual support to ensure family survival in one of Europe's most challenging environments. Viking couples preserved their love stories and relationship wisdom through rich oral traditions, passing down romantic tales, family histories, and practical relationship advice that influenced future generations and maintained cultural continuity across centuries of change. These stories became part of the collective memory that guided courtship, marriage, and family life throughout the Norse world, creating a shared understanding of what successful relationships should look like. The intimate lives of Viking raiders were far more sophisticated, meaningful, and progressive than popular culture has ever suggested. Based on extensive archaeological evidence and careful analysis of historical records, these relationships demonstrated remarkable values of equality, partnership, mutual respect, and genuine affection that many modern couples would recognize and admire. Vikings created a relationship culture that was centuries ahead of its time. From the frozen fjords of Norway to the rolling hills of Ireland, Viking couples created legacies of love that survived centuries of change and continue to influence our understanding of healthy relationships today. Their stories remind us that beneath the fearsome reputation of Norse raiders lived human beings who valued the same fundamental things we cherish today: love, partnership, family, and the creation of meaningful lives together. The next time you hear tales of Viking raids and conquests, remember the intimate stories hidden within their history. Stories of love that crossed cultures and conquered hearts, marriages that built empires and shaped civilizations, and partnerships that demonstrated the power of human connection to transcend time, distance, and even death itself. These are the real treasures they left behind, more valuable than any gold or silver they ever seized, and more lasting than any kingdom they ever conquered.